Hello, everyone, and welcome to Allianz Joy. It is great to see you today. I am glad to be with you today from the beach. Almost. I am not that close to the beach, but very close. I am on vacation, and I am going to talk to you, of course, today about self-care that I am practicing this week. Although I'm working a little bit here and there, but when I work, I don't call that work. I call that love because I love what I do, and I love sharing with you. So glad to be here today on the Win-Win Women TV, on Roku, Amazon, and Apple TV. And I hope that you are watching from somewhere or you will watch the replay with me. It's going to be a great show, and we're going to talk about self-care. There is nothing else to talk about today. So the beautiful thing of vacation is, of course, no makeup. I put some earrings in for you, no bras, and all that fun stuff, right? Just running around in the sand or sitting poolside and doing a lot of walking. I do a lot of walking here. I love that. I love to put my feet in the sand, walk on the beach. There's just something beautiful and calming to that. So we're going to talk a lot about these calming and wonderful things that you can do for yourself that we call self-care. And I'm going to start today with sharing with you a little bit about the 8 pillars of self-care and why self-care is so important. It is extremely important for us, for everybody to engage in, to enjoy life fully. And joy, Eliel's joy, I like the word joy, you know that. And to fully engage in daily life, we also have to take care of ourselves. And these self-care acts that you can do, I'm breaking them down in 8 pillars today, that so that you can understand a little bit of what you can choose, what kind of acts are really comfortable for you, what would you like to do, what feels good to you. These 8 pillars, they include mental care, emotional care, physical care, of course, environmental care, spiritual care, recreational, financial, and social self-care. Social acts can be a form of self-care, right? And whatever floats your boat there, you can mix 1, 2, or 3 with each other. You can pick from all, anything that you need in the moment to overcome. Most of us need more self-care and more active and very engaged self-care, that we are taking care of ourselves, right? We have to take care of ourselves, going through trauma or healing from trauma, but it's also something that we need to do every day. The more you rest and take care of yourself, the more nourished you feel. And the more nourished you feel, you can keep showing up as a healthy version of yourself, right? We really would like to show at all times that healthy version of ourselves. It maintains also a healthy relationship with yourself so that you can take care of that mental health and well-being. And it's important to have that self-care because it looks different to everyone. So if that is for you something that you like to do, it does not necessarily apply to somebody else. It's always very personal. It makes you feel good. So it is good for your well-being and for your productivity. In these 8 areas today, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of what you can do to practice them. So let's talk about physical self-care. That is, of course, the one that I love to start with. I'm a big inspiration, hopefully, to you when it comes to movement and moving all the time and staying active and being busy. So the typical self-care when it comes to movement could be, for instance, eating a healthy and nourished meal, right? And of course, like I just talked about, moving your body daily by walking, running, working out, any form of exercise that is appropriate and functional for you. It might be a chair yoga class. It might be running. So there's these extremes, anything fitness exercise. It might be a slower pace, but anything that keeps you going and keeps you moving is very important for us. This physical care, right, of our physical body is so good for yourself because you want to show up at all times with a better quality of life. And I work on that a lot with my active agers, right? We call that active aging. We want to keep moving so that we can show up and contribute to that overall quality of life. That is very important. So the next thing, for instance, might be a good amount of sleep. It might be taking probiotics or multivitamins daily, maybe sleep about 7 to 9 hours of good sleep, maybe sitting in the sun and soaking up some vitamin D, what I'm doing right now, spending time in nature. I do that right now. I am surrounded by palm trees, and I just made a social media post about how beautiful, beautiful, calming palm trees are, how strong they are, and how they're standing tall in times of trouble as well. And having a soothing bath or shower, right? That can all be physical self-care. So it's very important at all times to take care of your body and to do the right thing that makes you feel good. Pick something that gives you that energy, that gives you that motivation, that inspires you to work out a little bit and to move about. Very important also regarding our daily activities of living. When we get older, you better start now if you're not there yet. We have to be proactive when it comes to our body and keep it in good shape, so you don't have to deal with the after effects of not working out when you get older, because I'd rather stay away from that hip replacement just like anybody else does, right? Let's go to number 2, which is mental self-care. It involves psychological and cognitive thinking and your mind's ability to understand and process information, right? It's very important. Any experience, any information that comes to you, you need to process that. And not only does mental self-care practice helps to stimulate the mind, but it also improves brain functionality, so we can help develop a growth mindset. That means that we at all time keep growing, not changing necessarily, but we keep being informed and we know what we can do for ourselves. A proper and healthy mindset helps us process information easy. It helps us process information in a better manner, right? And some of these self-care activities include for your mind. They include learning a new skill, for instance, or language. I don't have that Spanish down yet, but I wish I did. Setting big intentional goals, maybe, or mini personal goals for yourselves. Reading self-help books and self-development. Self-mastery, we call that sometimes, right? Self-growth books. It is very important to keep reading and to keep activating your thinking. Journaling is a good one. Practicing gratitude is a good one. So all these things are very important for your minds. Positive thinking, practicing positive thinking is good mental health care. And engaging in a game of chess can be that, right? Doing puzzles or even doing a social media detox. Not so easy, but it's very good for you. Number 3 pillar of self-care could be emotional self-care. Emotional self-care involves your feelings and learning to understand yourself and your reactions to anything that happens around you, right? Emotional self-care also allows you to truly love yourself, accept yourself for who you are. I'm a great fan of empowerment and women empowerment, accepting yourself the way you are and the way you look out and act in this world. So emotional self-care really manages the expressions of your feelings and ultimately your behavior. And that emotional intelligence, that what you want to reach between that thinking and that heart, the in-between center is what we call emotional intelligence. And you can have emotional self-care or attain emotional self-care or practice emotional self-care by setting healthy and clear boundaries. That's really important to protect your energy and to protect yourself. Spending time with yourself with no distractions. It can be meditation, it can be prayer, is really being by yourself alone, which sets you to thinking, which is really healthy. Journaling your feelings, put them on paper, take them out of your mind and on paper is really important. Having a coach or a therapist, working with a counselor, having somebody to talk to is important for that. Having a good cry, of course, or practicing self-love, like I said, is very important. Daily affirmations, I use that a lot with my clients, daily affirmations in my practice as a life coach. Daily affirmations are very important just to wake up with that pep in your step, to wake up with good feelings is important. To wake up with a good feel about yourself, knowing that you love yourself, that you are amazing, and you can wake up and get out in that world and just contribute something amazing to it. That is important. Writing down positive affirmations, of course, helps, just like journaling. and asking for help at all times. Like I said, sometimes it's good to work with somebody, something that I had to learn the hard way. So it's good to work with somebody that can help you with that. Number 4 is difference, environmental self-care, very important. Different, something that we don't think about all the time. But in order to truly thrive, you need to be in the right space, in the right environment. And sometimes there's a coffee shop, and sometimes there's a really quiet place at home. Sometimes that is the yard. Sometimes it is some place that you would like to spend time with, on the mountain, on the beach. Like I said, your environment should motivate you rather than distract you. That's why I'm always a fan of working with my clients on cleaning spaces and really acknowledging the space that you're in. So when you keep your personal space organized and clutter-free, you maintain your environment in a care way, just like you take care of yourself. So making your bed every morning is part of that. Traveling or a change of scenery is even part of that, right? Organizing your workspace, decluttering your wardrobe. Sometimes heading to the coffee shop to work there, doing something else. Again, change of scenery. And listening to music is also part of that environment and setting a calm mood in the evening, especially when it comes to clutter and when it comes to having a nice, friendly environment around you is something that I really work with my clients on, very important. The next one, number 5, is financial self-care. And then when it comes to the word personal finance, I've had a love-hate relationship with that most of my life. It is getting better. And I looked for a lot of help with that because that is one of the things that we really need to cultivate. Cultivating a healthy relationship with money is essential for our mental health, and it helps eliminate a lot of stress and anxiety that I know about. So we have to try to get that out of the way. What can we do that to have a positive mindset about money? In the first place, we can definitely learn to read or do something when it comes to our personal finances, when it comes to investing, setting goals, using a money app sometimes to keep track of your finances, saving money each month to put away for a bigger goal or dream, right? Dealing with debt head on is like biting the frog in the morning, right? Something that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. Just really kind of like dealing with that now. Just ask for help again, right? And then again, do some positive money affirmation. Sometimes it's in our head when we keep saying that you can't make money, or I won't have it, or it's so difficult for me, or I can't do it now. That actually just affirms that you don't believe that you can get in a better place when it comes to money. So that is very important to go there, to try to find out what you need to do for yourself to have a better relationship with money. There's courses for that. You can read a lot. You can start investing and get help with that. Putting a small bit away. You can take a budget. Of course, dealing with a budget is very important because sometimes it is just leaving those few coffees out that are costing you $5 a day, which is $25 or $30 a week, right? Which is over $100 a month, which is $1,200 a year. If we look at it that way, it's totally different than just dealing with money like I don't have it, or I can't, or I'm just spending it, I don't care about it. So we just have to sometimes make a budget to be able to do the things that we dream of. And when we get there, then we feel so good about it. It's a great feeling to have a little bit of grip on that. So like I said, when I felt that I couldn't do much, I was just holding myself back because that was exactly the thought that I have. I can't do anything. I don't have anything left, so I can't do it. When you feel like that, you're really keeping yourself away from possibilities that you can create for yourself in your mind. So a lot of it is in your thinking, and I talk about that a lot. I can go into that a lot more at a later time, but for now, I'm going to number 6, and number 6 is social self-care. Self-care does not always have to be spending time with yourself. Most people think self-care, oh my, meditation, or going to the spa, or, just being by yourself, listening to music. That doesn't have to be the case. Self-care can also be have an ability to maintain a very healthy interpersonal relationship with others. Social connections are very, very important. Right now, we know that the social life, having a social life, is mandatory because we work so much from home. We are, as a society, as right now, all in the country, in our country, everywhere, we are more by ourselves because we have the ability to work at home and everywhere, right? Look at me, everywhere. You can just do it everywhere. But because of that, I need to make sure that I can also maintain healthy boundaries with friends and social connection, health connections with friends, not just boundaries. Also connections to feel loved and less alone. So we want to prevent isolation. Reconnecting is very important with old friends, sometimes building those relationships again. In other words, some actions that you can take towards social self-care is having new or professional relationships, new friends, maybe personal relationships. Stay connected to important people in your life. Hang out with friends with zero distractions, just being there, being with them, right? Not with the phone in between or something else that distracts you, but just being there in the same space with friends, having a good deep conversation. Messaging your friends and telling that you love them and that you're grateful for them is always good for the soul. And limiting time with negative people, again, that's where it comes down to setting boundaries and saying no. Sometimes we have to do that because that takes all that power immediately away. Reach out to support systems regularly if you have them, then keep reaching out to people that support you. That might be, again, your coach or your counselor, people that are around you, groups maybe, anything from grief to alcohol recovery groups, anything that you are engaged in and you need to set up for yourself or be engaged in, do it so that you are not alone. You are not alone. And definitely, when it comes to social, definitely end relationship with toxic people around you. So that is not very healthy. It doesn't do you any good. So we definitely have to stay from that. Stay away from that, but spending time with friends and family instead. Sometimes family is toxic, so your friends can make up for that. Building an engaged community online is really fun. We have lots of Facebook groups now and communities that you can engage in so that you meet people from all over the world. Writing letters in cards is still the old-fashioned way of doing it. And it is wonderful to get a card in the mail. Number 7, we're almost there, my friends, is recreational self-care, right? I mean, taking time out for fun. It's a little bit the same as social. Sometimes it's still a little bit the same as mental or emotional self-care or even physical self-care. But definitely recreational self-care could be something like traveling by yourself or others, having a pamper day somewhere, going to the spa, watching movies, classic movies, or something special that you want to watch on Netflix and creating art, right? Maybe you're really good at painting, maybe you love coloring or doing a puzzle, which is all very good when it comes to recreational. Point here is that it doesn't take a lot of thinking. You can just find calm and peace doing so. In my household, we love doing puzzles. Spending time with nature is, of course, part of that. And reading is part of that. Doing a puzzle, like I said, or doing a fun exercise class, that can all be recreational, but not something that takes too much thinking. But just being away from the feeling that you get away, that you're away from everything. That's important. And the last point today is spiritual self-care. And that is something personal and very big. That means that you can find hope and peace in challenging situations. It makes you mentally and emotionally stronger. We want to find this area of self-care. We want to practice this area of self-care. Spiritual self-care is important. Sometimes that is meditating. Sometimes that is doing breathing techniques. Sometimes, again, spending time in nature, on the beach or in the mountains. Sometimes it's a place of worship, going to church. Sometimes it's doing yoga or Tai Chi. Mapping out sometimes your core values and doing some spiritual work on your soul. Spiritual self-practice has to do with nourishing your soul. If that is meditation or if that's going to church, being in a place where you feel that hope, you feel that peace around you. Sometimes it might be just doing manifestations for yourself, or really kind of like doing some self-reflection with somebody, right? Going through what you have been through, analyzing it, looking back at the time that you thought you had to move mountains. And now knowing that you already got over it, and it actually looks a little bit easier when you look back, right? That you have overcome. This area of self-care can really allows you to find that silence, that inner calm and peace. And that is very important. So looking back at all these points, I hope that you found a little bit of inspiration in those 8 pillars of self-care that we talked about today. The 8 pillars that you can practice together, that you can practice and find what is most important in all 8 of them, right? To start with, maybe you want to spend a little bit of attention and a little bit of time in all areas. Maybe you already do a lot of it. Maybe you already combine a lot of this for yourself. So we talked about physical self-care, mental self-care, and emotional self-care. Of course, those 3 I talk about a lot when it comes to mind, body, spirit, right? We're all so connected. So we already do most of that, and we're already busy with that, I hope. I hope that you tell me that you're busy with that. But then also creating that environmental space, remember, environmental self-care, making sure that you have pretty things around you, beautiful colors, good things to look at, clean up the mess, get rid of the chaos, because that takes time and causes anxiety. Then we had financial, getting a good, healthy relationship with money, social self-care, right? Making sure that you're not falling into isolation and being alone. Recreational, doing things that are just joyful and fun and that bring you laughter and that you don't have to think too much about, right? Things that are just great to do with others most of the time, sometimes with for yourself, right? Doing a puzzle, but mindless, and at the same time, very good and very healthy. And then again, spiritual, right? Find your soul, find your peace, and find your joy. I hope this helped you a little bit today. I hope you were with me on the beach a little bit today, and that I could give you a little bit of the joy and peace that we would love to share, or that I would love to share all the time with you. And I know you love to share with me. I love you. Make it a great, 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 great rest of the day. Thank you for watching. Namaste. I see you next week. Bye-bye.